What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now in today's video, we're going to go over why NIO is pulling back and why they continue to pull back despite there really being no negative news. Now there has been news released that wasn't necessarily positive. For example, their fourth quarter earnings report, which had mixed feelings and people don't really know how to react to that. And also a potential chip shortage that is going to really hinder NIO's deliveries in the coming months. And then I'm also going to touch on the potential for NIO to expand outside of China and some troubles that they may have expanding to Europe and to other countries. But before we actually get into the video, for those of you who are new, my name is Evan and I make videos showing you guys different ways to make money in the stock market. So if that interests you guys, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss when I upload. Also, if you guys wouldn't mind going down and hitting the like button, I would really appreciate it, and it lets me know that you guys enjoy these video updates every day. But with that out of the way, taking a look at NIO's share price today, they're actually down 13%. Now the last time we actually saw NIO trading at $43 or less, other than last week, was quite a while ago, because other than the last month or so, NIO had seen this upwards trend that seemed to never go down, and they just continued to go up day after day. Now the reason why they are down 13% today isn't necessarily that they're dropping so drastically, but it's actually due to positive news that we saw yesterday, which temporarily propped up the price of NIO. So yesterday they saw an increase of about 8 or 9%. So we're really only losing a couple percent when you compare it to Friday's closing price. Now I'm not saying this is necessarily a good thing, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as people are making it out to seem, because they just see it down 13% in a single trading day and they think it's the end of NIO and they think NIO is just going to drop down and go bankrupt. But I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. They're just down so much because yesterday they saw a green day finally, and they haven't seen too many green days lately, and so that kind of explains why it looks like they're down such a big amount. But if you guys didn't actually tune in and you didn't watch earnings yesterday, you probably don't know exactly what NIO reported and why they're actually down because of this earnings report. So starting off here, NIO actually missed their Q4 estimates, and they also warned of a potential global chip shortage that is going to slow production. And because of both of these things, NIO stock fell early on Tuesday, and they've seen that throughout the entire trading day today. But in terms of their earnings, it wasn't really as good as people were expecting. So late Monday, NIO was actually seen narrowing their net loss to 7 cents per share from 39 cents a year ago, and their revenue soared 148% to over $1 billion. Now the actual result ended up being a per share loss of 14 cents on revenue of $1.02 billion. Now that's not necessarily bad news, because over $1 billion has never been seen before by NIO, and their gross margin also improved to 17.2% in Q4, which was actually almost negative 9% a year ago, and 12.9% in Q3. Their vehicle margin also improved to 17.2% from negative 6% a year ago, and 14.5% in Q3, and then their cash balance has also climbed up to $6.5 billion at the end of Q4. And when you compare this to Q3, it was actually $3.3 billion. So they have actually doubled their cash position, and this is actually due in part to them doing some offerings lately, and they also did senior convertible notes not too long ago. So that's not necessarily a big positive catalyst, because we've already seen the effects of all those offerings. But NIO also disclosed that their Q4 2020 deliveries were up 111% to 17,300 vehicles, but sales actually slowed down to 5,500 vehicles in February. And when you compare this to January, they actually set a record of 7,225 vehicles. Now I know when I was actually estimating sales for February, I was expecting their sales would be higher than January, and this was mostly due to the fact that NIO was offering a 0% down payment option. But as it turns out, a lot of Chinese businesses were shut down for a week during the Lunar New Year holiday. And as I had mentioned in previous videos, I wasn't exactly sure how the New Year works in China, and I wasn't sure if people buy vehicles for others and whether places are shut down during that time. But as it turns out, businesses do shut down for about a week during that time. And so of course we're seeing that reflected in NIO's deliveries. And so they really only delivered about 3/4 of what they had in January. And just from doing some simple math, that makes sense. If all these places were shut down for a week, if they only had about 3 weeks of deliveries, it would make sense that they would only deliver about 5,500, especially considering the fact that February is the shortest month out of any month. But even so, both January and February were actually up by triple digits versus a year ago. And last month in January, ES ES6 sales actually led with 2,200 deliveries as compared to just over 2,000 for the EC6. But this does lead into the outlook for NIO, and they actually estimate that they're going to deliver between 20,000 and 20,500 vehicles in Q1 of 2021. So as compared to 1 year ago, this would be up over 400%, actually over 421% from a year ago, and up 15 to 18% from Q4. And their revenue is also expected to be between 1.13 billion and 1.16 billion, or up almost 450% from a year ago, and up 11 to 14% from Q4. Now, this all seems fine and dandy until you actually look at what's happening. And with this chip shortage, NIO's deliveries are actually going to take a hit temporarily because NIO CEO William Li said production capacity actually climbed to 10,000 vehicles in February. Now, this was actually a big improvement over January, which was limited at 7,500, but he warned that a chip shortage and a battery shortage is going to slow things down back to 7,500 a month in Q2 of 2021. And shares actually dropped over 10%. As we looked at earlier, they dropped over 13%. And NIO actually remains under their 50-day line. And after a failed breakout past the $57 buy point, their relative strength line is actually below their 2021 January highs. But it's not only NIO being affected either though, because Li Auto also fell about 5.5% today. And according to a report last week, the Chinese EV rival actually reported a surprise profit. So even with Li Auto reporting a profit, they're still on a downwards trend. And we're seeing the entire electric vehicle market be affected. And a lot of it is due in part to Tesla as well, because Tesla does lead the way. And Tesla also continued to slip, and they dropped about 2.4% today. And while Tesla isn't dropping big, a lot of these smaller stocks are affected pretty greatly based on Tesla's share price. Now, there's also one other thing that could be seen as a negative, and this is that subsidy cuts and rising competition from tech and legacy auto giants in China are also weighing on NIO stock and the different EVs in the space in China. And Tesla also cut their price of their made in China Model Y, which was to rival NIO's new EC6 electric crossover. And there's also two versions of the much cheaper Volkswagen ID.4, which are due to begin China deliveries by the end of March. But NIO does still have a lot of things going forward, and they have a lot of things to look forward to. For example, they just recently announced their ET7 electric sedan, and this is supposed to rival the Model 3, but it's not due to release until the end of 2021, and more than likely in early 2022. And then they also plan to expand to Europe by the end of this year, but there are some complications that could hinder them from expanding to Europe as soon as possible. So if you guys didn't actually watch yesterday's video, I went over there was a confirmation of NIO expanding to Europe, and their CEO actually announced that they are planning to expand to Europe by the end of 2021. So this is more than likely going to happen in the second half of the year, and NIO is also exploring possibly entering the US. Now, when that's going to happen, it's really still up in the air, but there's also rumors of them possibly expanding to Norway at some point in early next year. But according to an analyst, this overseas push for NIO is really going to be a true test and really put them up against a lot of competition. Now, I don't know if you guys are actually aware of this, but Norway actually leads the way in terms of adoption of electric vehicles. And Xpeng, which is one of NIO's competitors, has actually already expanded to Norway as of December. But it's not even just NIO expanding to these other markets like Europe, because Tesla, who is the global market leader, is also expanding into Europe with their Berlin Gigafactory. So there's definitely concerns regarding NIO and how much they can actually stand up to all this competition when they start expanding overseas. Because as of right now, NIO has a lot of support from the government, and they also receive a lot of subsidies. Now, while some of these subsidies and this financial support is actually being cut, or a lot of it's being reduced, NIO still has significantly more government support as compared to other electric vehicle companies around the world. Now, for them to actually expand to different countries and start expanding around the globe, they do really need to beef up their position, and they also need to start putting out more vehicles per month. Now, as I mentioned earlier, they actually increased capacity to 10,000 vehicles in February, but now due to chip shortages and battery shortages, they're reducing that back down to 7,500. But in order for NIO to be a healthy company, they need to be delivering between 10,000 and 12,000 vehicles per month. Not only have a limit of 10 to 12,000, but they actually need to be delivering that many, and that's going to put them in a much healthier position, and it's really going to allow them to compete with these other auto giants that are actually putting out 500,000 to 1 million vehicles per year. And while these other auto manufacturers aren't necessarily putting out electric vehicles, a lot of them are starting to adopt this, and they are starting to expand their horizons, and they're going to be putting out electric vehicles in the next 5 to 10 years. So NIO really does have to improve their deliveries and really beef up their company before they do start expanding to bigger countries like the US. Now, I know that Europe does have a pretty big adoption in terms of electric vehicles, and there is going to be a lot of competition over there as well. But I do think before they start expanding too much, they really do have to increase deliveries in China specifically, because they're really only at the tip of the iceberg. China is actually the biggest auto manufacturer in the world, and they sell the most vehicles as compared to anybody else. So NIO really has such a vast market in China, and they really can acquire a lot more customers. And I think that would be the smart thing to do before they do start expanding super wide and they become super widespread among the world. But for those of you who actually made it this far into the video, I want to hear what you guys think of NIO expanding globally down in the comments. Do you guys think that they're rushing into expanding? And do you think they should wait? Or do you think that this is coming at the right time? And maybe that they should have expanded even sooner? So let me know your guys' thoughts of NIO's expansion plans down in the comments. And if you guys haven't signed up for Webull, make sure you guys sign up using the link in the description. And when you sign up and deposit $100, you'll actually get 2 free stocks. Now this promotion doesn't last long, so make sure you guys sign up before it's over. And if you guys want to join the Discord, make sure you guys join using the link in the description, or you can also use the top pinned comment down in the comment section. And if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like because it really does help out the channel. And with that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you back here in the next one. Bye.